Okay. What's up, everybody? I gotta shut off my AC because if my AC's on and the audio's messed up and then I hear about it in the comments, everybody lets me know. I was looking for the hat. I got the hat on. Hold on. This is the type of torture that I have to deal with to put this on. To put on this here popsicle stand in this here little universe of the internet. Yeah, it's not good, Mike. It's not good, but we are going to try to shove on anyway. Hopefully, let's see. My camera might not be working, so you might not be able to even see me sweating. Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it live, no camera. I think if I'm on a call and if you're using like Google Hangouts or whatever in your Zoom and there's too many things with the camera, whatever. But we're here. We're here. Had a few requests for some shitcoins already. People don't believe in the Bitcoin, the power of the Bitcoin. Yeah, it looks like the big, beautiful, amazing, what other adjective do we want to use? Bill got passed. So, as Lynn says, nothing stops this train. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Nobody wants to cut spending, realistically. So here we are. That's right, Edward. We're going to do it live. Hard to be bearish up here. If this looked like it had looked, right, where it was like this, that's not where you want to live. And we talked about this with gold. The interesting thing here is, if we just pull up gold real quick, gold looked better, pulled back, and now it's kind of, a mess, right? But I would have much rather taken this consolidation than what we have for Bitcoin now, up until the past week, just because this to me is continuation all day. Why would this break down, right? That's just technicals. But if we look at where BTC is today, it's starting to look similar, where it's got that scoop-de-whoop situation. It doesn't have bearishness. Ultimately, it's like, what are you doing here? Are you breaking highs or are you breaking lows? If we were breaking lows, then we could easily say, all right, maybe we're putting this off for a little bit. But that's not what we're seeing on any time frame. So here we are, right? And if you go on the daily, the concern was 93. The concern was we're going to get another one of these edge-to-edge moves just like we did back here. Like that was a possibility. And you'll notice even back here, people are giving me shit constantly, right? They're like, what do you mean you don't know where the market's going every day, every minute of every second? What do you mean we're pulling back up? It's like, yeah, but over here, like we kept printing fractals that were suggestive of breaking lows over and over and over again. And then eventually we broke the low. Before we broke the low, we were in the cloud. So look, we could still see that. I don't think we will, but we could. And if that's the case a week from now, I'm going to be bearish. That's just how it is. You're pre-breakout right now. We're trying to figure out where we're going to be. Outside of the technicals, I will agree. Liquidity is at all-time highs. Every country in the world spending money. Eventually, rates are coming down, even in the U.S. Like, this only goes one way. So there's no reason to be bearish based on that. The issue here was how low was this going to go? But it looks good here now. So I always like strength. I never care at all about buying highs ever. As a matter of fact, I'd rather buy highs than lows. Obviously, you want to buy the dip, right? Buy low, sell high. Everybody gets that part. But the issue is if you get a dip that keeps on dipping, then what do you do, right? So I like strength. Even up here, this we could still get this, something like this. I don't know, right? Like it's all still on the table, but it's all still pointing to higher. And then of course you've got the cup and handle stuff, which everybody at this point has talked about. You've got this piece here, which is a flag. You've got this thing here, which is a inverted head and shoulders. And inevitably you're going to hear people saying like, you can't see this at this point. This is reversal, not continuation or whatever. I'm here to tell you, you will see any pattern at any point in the market. You should look at it and say, okay, historically, what happens when this happens? What happens when you get this? Typically you go higher. Okay, that's what we see. So is it weird that it's at the top like this? A little bit, but you've got other stuff. None of this is bearish. That's the ultimate thing, really. Like this is bullish, the flag is bullish, making higher highs is bullish, making an inverted head and shoulders or whatever here is bullish. Love it. Love it all. We'll take it. I don't know. I challenge somebody in the chat to let me know what is bearish here. We can take a look at funding. I love that funding is flat. I love that people are positioning bearish. We've got commercials and CME, the longest they've ever been. We've got a Genius Act coming, another crypto-friendly bill for stablecoins. Stablecoin issuance is very correlated with crypto going higher, including BTC. And we, of course, have market framework, which is more non-BTC related, but that is also very friendly towards crypto. So, like, what is bearish here? They actually, they did dangles. They blew the leaves early today because they knew that we were going to record. They knew. The volume is bullish. Yeah, I don't look at volume honestly ever, really. The thing about volume is we don't have like a single place where everyone goes to trade. So like the volume you're looking at on this chart is obviously just on Kraken. And yes, you can aggregate all the volume and all the open interest and it spits out some number. I just think it's very hard to read that, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, with reading it, but just eyeballing this because it fits the bias in the narrative. I actually like that this volume hasn't broken out yet, right? It's still consolidating. If you look at the textbooks of technical analysis, what they will always tell you is as you are consolidating, you're going to see patterns that actually play out. You're going to see this declining volume profile. I used to point this out all the time. I do that a lot less now just because people are trading in all different places. But I bet if we pulled up IBIT, let's take a look at that volume. That's always like the equalizer, is we can go to legacy and we can say, all right, none of this volume should be fake, air quotes, fake. It should all be real for whatever reason. You don't really see a declining volume profile. Like, what is this? It just doesn't look like anything to me. I don't know. Not bearish. It's just like, I don't see a signal here personally. But even IBIT looks good. It's at all-time highs-ish. Measures the same. Everything's the same. And if we just compare this to like Rocket Lab, right? It's the same chart, same idea, same concept. It really helps that everything is breaking out in a similar fashion in legacy for crypto. Some people are going to think I'm nuts, but that's fine. IWM and ETH, a great example collectively. This is the ETH chart. It is done extremely well. You even have IWM over QQQ, which is kind of like ETH BTC, where is this trying to bottom a little bit? This is like tech versus zombies or Mag 7, like the best companies in the world that the world has ever known against no one could name these 2,000 companies that in reality it's less than 2,000, but and it's a similar thing to ETH, right? ETH versus BTC. Like, do people really care about ETH? I don't know, but looking at the ETH BTC chart, we are right there. We're on the cusp of something. So if ETH BTC can continue to make a slightly higher high here, it's the cloud is saying, the cloud, not me, this is the cloud. This is important because people are going to give me hate mail, but the cloud is saying it likes ETH here in the very near term on outperformance. Now the ETH maxis aren't going to scroll back far enough and realize that they're down over the past 5 years, whatever, right? So they're going to celebrate this. All this is saying is, look, on technicals, ETH has a very good chance of outperforming. That's it, on trend relative to BTC. OKEX looks like big shorting. Well, we can pull up, like I messaged you, we can pull up, we can actually do it through here too. Another thing is hard is comparing like the exchanges. You're not wrong that OKEX has a lot of shorting, but people do all sorts of things in all sorts of places for all sorts of different reasons, you know? So it's hard to say, like, is this X individual doing something, you know, maybe there's some incentive on that exchange to do something a certain way. It's just tough to say, like, definitively what's going on there, but you're definitely right. If you just look at this part here, bigly negative funding, which says people are shorting, and good. That's what you want to see. So I'm happy to see that. If we go back to the average here, I always have to reload this. Going back to the average, it still is fairly flat for BTC on a relative basis. So just comparing this to any other time, comparing this to November, comparing this to both prior Q4s where funding just like exploded, right? That's where people get super bullish. They're willing to pay more to be long if they think price is going to go up, right? So what does funding look like today? Funding is nothing, right? It's mainly been negative over the past week. So this tells me we have a ton of room to run this up if we really start going above 110. I agree. Funding flat here is insane. I don't understand the thought process of, hey, let's get short at all-time highs. I don't understand that, but hey, it helps the market move higher. It's setting up for a short squeeze effectively is what's going on here. So that's funding, volume. What else can we look at? 2-year moving average multiplier. I don't think anybody here is saying the cycle is over. We were seeing a lot of that talk a few weeks ago when we were like April, you know. Again, it's like, what is there to be bearish about here? Tell me. I'm all ears. I'd love to know. Nothing says we're overheated. Nothing says we're quite to the end of the cycle yet. Everything is pointing to another good back half of this year. The real question is, okay, where are we going to go potentially, and what's going to happen when we get there? Are we going to like touch that level and then reverse? Are we going to see some sort of parabolic euphoric expansion to the upside? What are we going to see? But you know, this is like, yeah, send it to 325. Sure. That's what the 2-year moving average multiplier is saying. If we look on anything, if we go to like if this is working, let's go to the power law. The power law says we're not even close till like some ridiculous number, right? Like four something. But if you put imaginary bands on this, you can see once we start to get higher, we get levels of probabilities, right? Like where it gets more and more and more overbought to the point where eventually the amount of money that would need to come in is just too much in the moment. But we're in the middle of this thing, so it looks great. What else we got? MVRV is another one. if we're talking about the highest of hit rate things for the cycle, 2.4, nothing. It's going to be interesting if this prints a head and shoulders and we break down. I don't think it will, but again, you always get people saying, okay, this is going to be diminishing returns. Look at the past highs. All the highs have been lower. Sure, all the highs have been lower, but there's still plenty of room even here to go from 2.4 to 4 at least. This is just looking at the realized price versus actual market cap. So even if we don't go higher, I don't see a reason to be bearish here, and I wouldn't be disappointed in myself if I was betting for higher and we didn't see it based on the information that we have. So I just don't, I don't know why anyone would be bearish here. Is a mean reverting market a case to be made for two short all-time highs? I don't think so. The other part is, like, look at Legacy. Legacy had another all-time high today. If we go to the Qs, like, why is Legacy hitting all-time highs? Well, liquidity is the prime reason. Jobs today came in better than expected. Unemployment rate did. This has to be bearish first. It just does. Like, last time we broke down, Bitcoin broke down first. Okay, well, Bitcoin's not breaking down now. So, I don't know. Like, maybe that's circular logic, but if everything else around us is bullish, it's going to be very hard for BTC not to continue here. Very hard. So if we measure this, it's probably easier if I go back to this. I don't know why Kraken Desktop doesn't have fibs yet in the way that I want them, but if we measure this, it's always the same. It's never different. The target might look ridiculous. Okay, like I can point to every moment of time that we've done something like this with fibs, and you'd say to yourself, this can't go to 150. There's no way. Well, like that's just how this stuff works most of the time. Back here, what were people saying? I don't really remember. I just remember saying this is the down, this is the range, this is the depth. The target is the target. The target was 100K when we were consolidating. Okay, we hit it. Back here, what was the target? This was ETF launch post GBTC unlock. We exceeded it. Target was 60, 57-ish. We exceeded it. What was the target back here? This to that. So at that time it was this. I give you a level up here. Hey, we hit that level. I don't know. So maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see here, but you can do that on the bear side as well. What happened here? Certainly, I was a person talking about this. Guess what? We hit that level. So if you backtest these fibs on a high enough time frame, not just BTC but everything, that's just where people in their head mathematically like to take profit. That's what my read would be on the behavior of this stuff. So what is the next level? It's going to be up there. There's also a yearly pivot up there at 150. It's a psychological number. We'll see, but it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good to me. Anything past that, don't know. But in the moment, that's the level that makes sense. Even this little like consolidation back here, I don't remember exactly how we were measuring this at the time, but certainly I was talking about something like that, you know. I just keep hitting this home because of course it's absurd. You're telling me you can just measure where you think price would be and it usually goes there? That's what I'm telling you. I don't know. I don't make this stuff up, right? I don't care. I'm playing the same game you're playing. So that's where those targets come from. 150. That's a target. So BTC looks good. It looks the strongest out of everything, hands down. And it's hard because if you're trading anything you can trade, including legacy, what are you doing here? What is your allocation mix? Do you like BTC so you're in ETH? Do you like BTC so you're in Sol? Do you like Sol so you're in a bunch of meme coins? I don't know. It's a personal decision, but this looks very good. Very, very good. And I think another thing, if we look at RSI, just as an equalizer, last time we were up here, RSI was 80 to 90. Coming off April lows, it got to 80. RSI is a cool 62 here. Very similar to funding. It just takes time for this stuff to reset. March, what it was, RSI got up to 80s, 90s. What was it in October 23? 80s, 90s. What was it coming off the 2022 low? 80s, 90s, right? So all that has reset. That's just a rolling 2-week momentum gauge, but it's a much different 110 today than it was in May, just as it was different from November. You know, like it's not the same 110 as it is then. At this point, you've had plenty of people probably that have taken profit clearly into the Bitcoin treasury plays and the ETFs. Could Bitcoin treasuries be considered TradFi alts? I don't see why not. I just can't. I feel like those are, what is it, BNF? What is the ticker? It was up like 900% over the past week. Whatever. There it is. Bitmine Immersion. Yeah, this one. My edge isn't event driven. My edge is not news. So I'm generally just very bad at like doing this sort of thing. But if you just would have said to yourself, all of these over the past month have just absolutely mooned. And this is unfortunately where people go, especially if they're more prone to gambling over trading, which is fine. I don't care. But if you are attracted to volatility like a moth to a flame, then you're going to focus on this stuff. And a lot of people are going to get very burned eventually. But in the early days, it's going to do well. If we go to extended hours, it's down to 116 from 156, 163. But we saw this with Circle. We saw this with CoreWeave. This is just people being people. It helps that it had a headline. It helps that it's ETH treasury, you know, whatever. I can barely get it out of my mouth. It's a treasury play. So that's what people are doing on the legacy side. Would I buy the next one? I don't know. I don't think I could, even knowing this information. I don't think I could. Would I buy the next IPO? I don't know. I don't know. Am I worried about seasonality? No, I haven't talked about it, but that's another tailwind. July is very bullish. Q3 hasn't been bullish, unless you're talking about Q3 of the post-halving year. If we want to like tease it apart maximally, we say, oh, Q3 of the post-halving year, that's bullish, which it has been. We can pull that up. But Q3 on balance has not been bullish. And if you want to throw my ETH thesis back at me, you can say, well, ETH has never really been bullish in the back half of the year. So is this going to be the time? Might be. I don't know. If we go, this is CoinGlass. So this is all the Q3s we've ever seen. Average is, I don't know, like nothing, right? We'll call it flat in the grand scheme of things, considering what we see in Q2 and Q4. Q4 is clearly where all the action is. If we look at the post-halving year, what, 2017, 2021, 2025, that's the argument here that, oh, we could see like this could be bullish. Fine. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I'll believe, sure. But I'm really more focused on the monthly, which even in legacy is one of the better months, if not the best month outside of Q4. And you can see it here in July, since inception, has been very bullish when it's bullish. I'm all for having like shooting to 150 in July and then retracing to 100 by September. I would love that. That I'd be a pig in slop. I don't really care about August and September today. That's an August problem. You know, that's a July 30th problem. So I think the seasonality is great. And for ETH, just based on what we've seen, again, like Q1, Q2 is where it's at historically. It has done better Q4 recently. So maybe that's enough. I don't know. How much does it really matter is another question. If we go to ETH on the monthly, it's slightly more mixed for July. And just generally, I mean, look at this, like, look at this string. This is not a buy and hold asset. This is a trading asset. This is a sardine. This historically has not done well. Look at this string in 2018. It's hilarious looking at it month to month. Right, that's bear market stuff, obviously, but man, that's brutal. And that was just lining up with the ETH ICO stuff. This was post ETH ICO mania when everybody was buying ETH, giving it to a ETH ICO. And then the ICOs eventually went around and sold it after they held it for a while. Sounds familiar, huh? So definitely something to watch for on the treasury company side. Good news is all this stuff is tracked and it's all on chain ish. And people are going to definitely be watching this stuff like a hawk in a bear market, right? Like who's selling, how much are they selling, how much is being held, how much is left to sell, that sort of thing. Just something to think about going forward. But yeah, seasonality to me looks good here. It's another tailwind for sure. I have a list here. Hold on. We got BBB, which passed. We got Genius Act, market structure. Okay, great. Under-owned. That's a good one. Clearly, there's still, believe it or not, there's a lot of people who don't own any Bitcoin. Believe it or not. Word on the street. Zero. Got to get them off zero. Risk on and legacy, liquidity all-time high, positioning and sentiment, tailwind because everybody's not positioned for higher highs. Dollar going down, seasonality, tailwind. Yeah, the dollar is another one that if we bring that up, where are we at? Let's take pivots off here. This is one of the worst starts of the year to the dollar ever. It should not be a surprise to anybody based on what we saw last Trump term. This is mirroring that. It's the same. Whether they want the dollar weak or not, it is weakening. The policies that they are enacting are not policies that are supportive of dollar strength. If I just am looking at this from a technical perspective, we certainly hope that this is not a bull div with a falling wedge. Get Slimer in here. You know, this is what, if you're a dollar bull, that's what you would say. Clearly there's a bull div here as well. You're getting a lower low in price, higher low, excuse me, higher low in RSI. So if there's anything that's gonna prevent us from breaking out, it would be this. If the dollar magically surged back to 100, I can't imagine that would be turbo bullish for BTC. So I would keep an eye on that. But where it sits here, clearly this is helping everybody. Global liquidity, it's helping legacy blast off. Absolutely. Scratching. There's no way, dude. I'm screaming into the microphone. Post halving year Augusts are super bullish. You tell them. You tell them. And then there's miners. We want to do miners before alts? I guess we can. You know, my issue was I wasn't sure about BTC. And I have trouble trading charts independently. If I think BTC has a risk of breaking down, I really don't want to be heavily deep into BTC beta or BTC leverage, whatever, which are the miners. So the miners said Don't care. We're going higher anyway. Now they did have an edge to edge. This is WGMI, the ETF. They did have an edge to edge thing, which I think we talked about. That took a while, but it got there. Some of these charts continued. IREN cores, obviously. They're positioned fine here. I bought some Mara this week because it had been a laggard and hasn't done anything. Is it a good decision? I don't know. We'll see. You obviously want to catch the leaders before they move. My own risk metric said, no, don't touch those. Just is what it is, right? Now, if we broke to 93, are miners still where they are today? I don't know. But this is why I bought Mara, because it broke out. Cloud told me to, chat. Cloud told me to. The rest of these cores, I don't know if you can buy this up here. Now, maybe they get acquired at 30 and there's another 2x or whatever in here. To me, it just feels like you missed the train, right? Now, I could have, just like ETH, and I keep saying this, on any chart that has price action above the cloud, good things happen above the cloud. You'll see a better reaction on positive news when you're already trending bullish. So that's certainly helpful. It's helpful to get that news at 12 versus 7. It just is. And you could say, well, of course somebody knew this and they were buying all this time. Yeah, probably. Somebody always knows, right? Wolf, similar to Mara, breaking out of the cloud there. Looks good. Don't hate it. Clean Spark, same deal. Fresh breakout. Don't hate it. Riot, same deal. I think it's less about entry here and more about where does this need to go for you to really care? So Marathon has, I think it's like what, 30 or something? Yeah, Marathon has a level up here that to me is decently obvious. Somewhere in the 30s or high 20s. If it doesn't go up there at least, it's just kind of a waste of your time. That's what I would want off of that. We could zoom out on all these. Wolf, at least 8. You always want to revisit all-time highs. Not all-time highs, but local highs. And that's why with ETH, like if you're trading this and you don't think ETH can go to 4K, why bother, right? Like, and if you're trading it for a move to 3K, also why bother? Like, let this thing go. Like, if it's gonna go, just let it do its thing. So I wouldn't even worry about it down here. But back to miners. Clean Spark, I think that would be like 20. You can also use VPVR for this. All right, 16, 20. Like, if it doesn't go there, then why? Who cares? You could also imagine a scenario where you get something like this and then a move in Q4 or something. I don't know. But on these charts that have been just a mess for a long time, I think you have to give them some breathing room here. If we're truly bullish, then you have to let them do their thing. Now, IREN is already above those highs, right? And this is another argument that, okay, let's just let all these others, laggards, maybe not as good a business as IREN, but let them cook, chat. Let them cook. This was the old IREN target back here. So if we look at this here, this was the fib target that did not get reached. So I would argue that's where you would want this to go. 21 to 40 minimum. And it's almost there anyway, you know? So not that I get a lot of people, the minor people, they're not like asking me chomping at the bit for targets because they just assume everything's going to go to infinity. But I'm just saying, where would you want it to go to not be a giant waste of your time? Certainly much higher than all these are currently. Riot, where would you want this one to go? I don't know. It's trying to break out. If we just fib it, It would be old all-time highs again, whatever this level was. 40, 50, 60, I don't know. Can it realistically get up there? I don't know. I think it almost depends on like which leveraged BTC product is sucking oxygen out of the room. I think miners underperform so far because MSTR has pulled everybody's attention. If you've got all these other Bitcoin treasury companies also pulling everyone's attention and money, then the miners are probably going to underperform. But if for whatever reason MSTR kind of doesn't go where people want it to, and this is another one where if this doesn't go to 600, it's a giant waste of your time. Like this should easily repeat Q4 based on what we know about MSTR and how people trade it, and the types of people trading this, the types of options leverage people use, that sort of thing, right? This should easily push just to the stratosphere. So if it doesn't, then you're not getting what's advertised, right? From a leverage perspective. This range measures here, which would be your technical argument. And then you could say, well, maybe we get some extensions based on the pitchfork. You can always watch Williams Fractals, which I'll start to do as this breaks out. But I think it's going to be difficult for everything to go to infinity together. And ideally it doesn't, because then you get multiple trades anyway. But just something to think about. Like if you're pro miner, anti MSTR, and you're like, why aren't miners moving? Well, somebody, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere, you know, somebody's buying something else. That would be my argument. Boom, it was the browser's fault for the audio, not me. Boom. Anyway, so yes, miners have pulled up. I wasn't as bullish as I could have been. That's why anytime, I don't care what it is, it helps that it's like in the narrative of the collective consciousness of retail, that it's crypto or whatever, right? You've got the AI stuff, you've got HPC stuff, you've got a lot of reasons, power, utility, data center, a lot of reasons why miners could start to continue to do better. Even, you know, it doesn't matter what it is, BT, all these cipher. So that's miners. I guess we'll talk about Circle. It's funny, I don't get anybody asking me about Circle. But kind of an interesting little base it's putting in here. Kind of a little bottomy base. Kind of looks a little accumulation-y, doesn't it? I still don't know what is the, how is this going to be classified? Like, is this going to be classified as a risk on? Is it going to be classified as crypto? Is it going to be classified as risk off? Because it's stablecoin related. If rates are coming down, is this going to take a massive hit on the revenue side? And then is this thing just going to die? Like, I don't know. Is the Genius Act going to mean all of these USDC clones popping up? Is it going to be more competition? Is it going to be less competition because they're kicking out Tether eventually? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Just from technicals, low time frames, interesting little setup. I think on most days so far, Coin and Circle have gone in the opposite direction. Coin still looks okay. If you're bullish alts and you're bullish ETH, you just have to hold this. What else is there to do? I think it'd be silly, again, to close it here. This is ending potentially a multi-month consolidation. Even if we measure it like this, that's still 600 to 700. If you're generous, you say, okay, some other high low. We're talking like stupid numbers, right? I don't know about that, but yeah, some sort of megaphone pattern. We've got this on uranium right now as well. One of the reasons I'm pointing it out, but same deal. Just sort of vanilla technicals. Just something else I was watching on coin. I don't know about an entry here. I just think like this other stuff, if you're bullish BTC, if you're bullish alts, why the heck would you close any of this stuff here? Even if you're wrong, like it doesn't matter because now's the time to be bullish, right? So I don't see anything wrong with that. It just becomes a sizing allocation question, really, not a, if you think it's going higher, whatever, go for it. If you think ETH BTC is going higher, we can pull this up, make this comparison. This is coin against MSTR, which is kind of like 1x ETH divided by 2x BTC. Even this is starting to look a little interesting on the daily. Look at that. Pulled up. So MSTR better start moving. Better start moving. Bitcoin MSTR miners. Yeah. The issue with that, Mike, is people just want leverage, man. They want to turn $1 into 10. So they go to Metaplanet, they go to wherever, right? It's a different conversation if you're starting with $1,000 versus $1 million, like if you're starting with 1,000, I think you have this propensity to focus on the highest volatility, which fine, like there's nothing wrong with that, but just got to be careful. Nobody asked me to look at Metaplanet either, but what's a better? Let's go to this one. What does this daily look like? And here's another example of fibs, right? Now, I didn't believe this. And we talked about it. We talked about this in April, May when somebody was asking me about this. And we've talked about it before. It was repeating. It was the same thing. Adam and Eve, Kumo breakout, just vanilla. I just didn't take the trade. And eventually, even if you're not technical analysis oriented, you see enough of this stuff play out, you're like, okay, maybe next time I'll buy a little bit. And then the next time after that, you're going to say to yourself, this time I'm going to buy more. And then that might be right or wrong, but eventually you get in this habit, and then you get to this technical analysis dominance where you're like, okay, I know exactly what to do every time I see anything that looks like this, no matter what it is. Now, obviously, we're in a little bit of a Bitcoin treasury bubble, and it helped, but this was the fibs. There's the high, there's the low. We are in the target. I can't expect anything more from Metaplanet here. It has not tripped a fractal yet, so there's that, but it does look a little head and shoulders-y up here. Also, if you look at the MNAV, I think it was at like 6. I don't know what it's at today, but they should be selling and buying BTC, the company, right? Which is what they're doing. But if we just look at the fractals here, there's one. You never get a candle bar close. That's a wick, not a bar, so that's not doesn't count against it. But I would just look at this whole thing up here as a diamond top, head and shoulders something. It doesn't look great here, and it's coming off of a 400% move. So again, I talk about this with alts. How much more do you really want out of this? Like, yeah, it can do well, but that's not really the question. Can it do well relative to something that hasn't moved yet? If we look at Metaplanet versus MSTR, this doesn't look like a screaming endorsement for MSTR, but it's something I would be watching if I was in Metaplanet. Because if this starts to break higher, you can just set an alert. It's set an alert at like 9 or something. if this starts to break higher, you might get 2 trades out of it instead of just the one, right? Then you're turning your 425% move into another 25% move or whatever it is for MSTR. Galaxy. I think this is, my guess is this is the same person who asks me about this. Not that that's a bad thing. I always like to think, like, how many people, who's asking me about Metaplanet? Usually nobody. Who's asking me about whatever, you know? Sometimes a lot of people are asking me about a certain thing. Galaxy Digital. They don't really have enough trading history on the US exchanges. I mean, isn't this just the BTC chart, right? Because you've got a combination of the same thing. You've got a cup and handle here. You've got this. You've got a clean breakout level. So you're really, like, who cares what happens on that chart? The chart you care about is this chart, Galaxy relative to BTC. Because if you're not beating BTC, then what's the point? What does this look like? It's a little ARK-like, ARKK. It's leaning bullish, but it's also been in this channel. Right? It's got that going on for it. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't hate it. But this is the chart I would watch. Because what's the point, right? Like, the big kahuna is BTC. So if you're buying everything else instead, unless there's a tax advantage or some reason, your jurisdiction, blah, 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 then there's really no point. So you definitely want this higher relative to BTC. And you could say the same for MSTR, and that's what I said a couple times this week. Like, if this doesn't break out, or if you don't think this is going to break out, then don't bother. But I don't think that's where anyone trading MSTR is at. They are under the assumption. I have some MSTR. I'm not, like, knocking these people, but you know, I'm under the assumption that this is going to break higher. It looks bullish on technicals. It's got some sort of channel. I don't hate it. You've got this huge thing, right? Is it kind of nonsensical that this makes higher highs? A little bit. Chanos is betting against it. But if there's anything the market knows, it's what's happened prior, and it's MSTR goes insane when BTC starts to break out. So I think we could easily see some MNAV expansion. And it helps a lot, again, that everything else is breaking out around it. You've got indices breaking out, you've got miners breaking out, you've got all these Bitcoin treasury companies. So there's a lot of money swirling around that is in profit, that is looking for the next thing, right? So that is also very helpful on a relative value basis. Do you think we will have some famous people promoting crypto? I don't know. Do we really care about that at this point? I don't think we really care. MSTR versus the C bonds. I don't really know enough about the C bonds to comment one way or the other. Again, that's not my edge, is understanding the ins and outs of what could go wrong there, but I don't know. I don't really have anything to say, honestly. Nothing intelligent anyway. What else we got in the chat? Uni, all right, let's zip through some alts real quick. But that's the important thing. What does it look like against BTC? Like, we can look at all the alts on USD pairs. We can talk about total 2. Fine. I'm not against that, but you know, let's be clear. Everybody needs to be denominated in BTC, otherwise it just doesn't matter. So yeah, BTC looks amazing. ETH on the USD pairs, It's going to be funny if this actually plays out, where we get the right shoulder like pain for weeks, and then it breaks out. It still looks great. Just like anything, it's above the cloud. Stuff happens. Good stuff happens above the cloud. So I still like ETH here. I like it over BTC. If I'm being honest, I bought some ETH yesterday, and I'll keep buying ETH if it can outperform. That's the trade right now, you know? So that's where I'm at. We'll see if ETH can keep up with BTC if this breaks, well, you know, all-time highs. But ETH BTC looks very good. Ripple in the staging, losing my voice, staging area here. Really nothing going on until this is above the cloud. It's almost there. And people always ask me, like on WIF, someone was asking me, just because I was pointing it out, like this is below the cloud, it's getting ready, it's on a launch pad, et cetera, what would you do here? The cloud likes it above the cloud. It's not quite there yet. I think there's plenty of justification to start buying some of this stuff, but it's a sizing question. It's a leverage question. Now is better than most other times because we're right there. So even if you're wrong, I wouldn't say that was a dumb decision. You know, it's either here or any time over here. You know, this to me is no, never. I never touch weakness. It's not for me. We've made a couple bottoms here. Doesn't matter that it's a meme coin. I like it a lot better here than this price in January. So I don't hate it. And if you're bullish ETH or SOL, you're going to be looking at the memes as well, right? What the layer ones don't need, similar to MSTR versus the miners versus Bitcoin treasury companies, layer ones really need memes to not explode, because if all of the money is pouring into them, then the actual use case utility stuff just is never going to go anywhere. Right? If everybody's just permanently looking at the most volatility, most leverage, it's going to be a problem. It's like a capital misallocation problem. Even though from a trading perspective, it might be the right decision, it's just very bad for the industry if all we're doing is buying Moo Dang every time, you know. Chart looks good. Little cup and handle there. So that's kind of an issue. But anyway, back to the other stuff. Sol almost above the cloud, starting to look good. Sui almost above the cloud, breaking downward channels. Cardano kind of floating in no man's land. Some of these that are floating in no man's land do have something on lower time frames. Link is another good example. Like, it's trying to bottom. You know, I don't know if that's going to translate into anything on a higher time frame, but it's trying. LTC, kind of nothingness. Tau, kind of a mixture of, you know, you can, I hope people can see this without me zooming in, but you know, it's trying. The question is, where do you want to throw your money? Do you want to throw your money at this or BTC right now? I don't know, this or ETH. I think it's pretty clear. This or SOL. Ave. Trying to make highs, trying to invalidate the diamond. Say still above the cloud. Monero, I just got nothing to say there. Syrup, I would just trade anything else. Curve, no man's land. Dot, trying to bottom-ish, but why? Like, I don't. It's just when I see this history of underperformance, if we go way back, I'm just very hesitant to care, right? Like, so I missed 20%. Who cares? Like, if I'm actually going to trade this, let it be the moment it gets above the cloud like it did in November 24. Like, yeah, this can go from 350 to 450 without me. Fine, I don't care. I just don't care. Ondo, free floating, kind of trying to do something. Anything else interesting on this list? AVAX, same deal. Algo, same deal. Aptos was another one. Maybe watch this one a little closer. It looks different than the other charts in an interesting way. I don't really care about it again until it's trending bullish up here, but looking interesting. Maker just kind of chopping around. Anyway, there were a few that people wanted me to look at. Pengu. Pengu looks like a lot of these where it's kind of got this cup and handle situation on high time frames, right? If we go to a low time frame, I don't know. Like this is like the miners. If you're trading this, you want this to just go to infinity, right? You don't really care. Like who cares about a 10% move on this thing on any given day? You want this to go to $1, right? Like, let's be honest. Who cares? I don't know if it goes to $1, but if you're bullish alts, if you're bullish any other reason, you know, I just don't think TA targets matter in the moment. Let this thing do its thing. Someone asked me to look at this. Same sort of deal where you're getting, I begrudgingly am giving this a seal of approval for bullishness. It's above the cloud. Some sort of, my God. Some sort of cup and handle thing. Not bearish. Just isn't. Fartcoin, same deal. Just kind of hanging in there. Not bearish. It looks a heck of a lot better than Doge does. Doge is doing nothing. It's this free float. Like, what is this? It's nothing. WIF, I talked about. I think it looks fine for a move. Pepe, similar to WIF, also kind of free floating. I like any of this stuff on low leverage and just letting it be. Like, again, who cares what it is while Bitcoin's consolidating? You care where does this go when Bitcoin breaks out? Where does this go when ETH breaks out? That's what you should care about. Because yeah, it can go plus or minus 15% on any day for any reason. Like, so give yourself that breathing room. Maybe don't slide the leverage bar to 50x and give it some time. But I think that's the same for most of these. Bonk looks okay-ish. Nothing great. Trump I would just avoid personally. Mog was the other one that it's above the cloud. So look, send it, right? Like, I don't know why. I don't know anything about it. I couldn't even tell you which chain this is on. Looks great. Popcat just sitting there. Shiv, nah. Toshi, Floki. So yeah, my picks are Mog, WIF, and Pepe. Those are my top picks on the meme coin side. Why does Kathy Wood think ETH is going to 25K? Has to do with if you're a world computer and you have those targets, you're under the assumption that people will be using the world computer a lot. Thanks, Joe Johnson. Canary ETF. Well, I cannot comment on any active ETF filings, but yes, the company I work for, Canary Capital, does have an active ETF filing for one such Pengu meme coin. BTCD full-time range, enormous antimony. All right, there's this other list. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll keep on trucking here. Uni, look at that. I can say one thing about fundamentals. I can be bearish on DEXs or whatever for whatever reason. I can say anything about the tokenomics, fine. But where you're going to get my attention is a bullish Kumo breakout, price above cloud. Okay, like I can't, if I'm buying Marathon, a miner, I can't say in the same breath for the same reason that this thing isn't a buy. It is. Look, it just is. Now, is this going to outperform? Is the question. If we pull up this chart, again, this is the chart you need to care about. Now, this looks okay. This actually looks okay. Very similar to ETH BTC. It has a history of underperformance. It has a history of really doing awful. So you got to keep that in mind. Just junk, straight junk. However, on the daily, similar to ETH BTC, it's trying to make a move here. So I don't like this. I don't like this a day before it's above the cloud. But if it is, sure. But this is the chart you need to be watching. 100%. Because otherwise, what's the point? What's the point, guys? Like you can literally just buy BTC, hold, do nothing, and outperform everything that's ever existed. Like it's really that easy. Turbo, just no man's land. Another thing to note here is that like 80% of the charts that I'm looking at look the exact same. This would be in that bucket. So from that bucket, do any of those start to outperform? I like trades on those. I like trades on the leaders in the 80% doing nothing bucket. Inevitably, some of these are going to outperform. After those trades play out, then I like buying the laggards, but I don't really care what this is. And I don't really care what anything on this list is. I just, I know what it is based on being here, but this is in Nowheresville on the daily. On the 4 hour, you've got that same like link type consolidation, right? Where it's like, it's just trading with the market. It's not really doing anything on its own. Where was that list? Ape. Yeah, trying to get above the cloud. I can't knock it. I can't knock it. Now, historically, has this done anything? No. This is the airdrop from the NFT, right? So you've got something here, just a gigantic bearish channel. I don't know. The daily is meeting criteria for a breakout. You'd want this to go up probably to $2 at least. But I can see why you're asking me about it because I'm going to agree with you. Nero. Yeah, he's got the alpha. We need to go to his stream because he's got a list of all the charts that are ready to break out. It doesn't look bad. It looks like any of the other meme coins, it's in that like Mog Whiff Pepe bucket where it looks like that. And then this other one he said was Lot X. Is that right? I don't see that one. I don't know what that is, but if it looks like that, then yeah. Anyway, good little list. Should we wait for a T-Cron? No, I would. If something looks like this relative to the market, where the market, like the market equivalent to this is down here. Oops, it's down here. This is where the market is right now. I don't hate it. I might bite some after I get off this stream. It looks good. It looks good. What does the 6 hour look like? Little something here. Multi-shouldered, multi-headed, inverted, something. It's trying. I have no idea why, but it's trying. Okay, SPY. I like the daily, and I like the cloud, and I like fractals. We have yet... Did we break? I guess we technically... So this is a good example. This did break a fractal right here. So it pulls you out, but it gets you back in. So how this works is as you're moving up bullishly in a bull trend, you get these fractals that are letting you know this is a local low, basically. If you start to break a local low, that's a good place to stop yourself out. On the opposite side of that, a local high breach would be a good place to get back in or add to a position. So this had you get out at 595, get back in at 605, and now we're at 625. It's not always going to work that well, but still looks fine. I still have my TK concerns here with overbought. You can see the RSI is at 74. You want the RSI to be trending high. You don't want a bear div. So I don't think it looks terrible. What I did last week, I sold QQQ and I bought IWM last week. It's been kind of a wash so far, but I think it'll work out in my favor. QQQ, new highs, same deal to the SPY. Maybe a little bear div potentially setting up there. You're also bumping up against technical targets on the range. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It still looks plenty bullish, though. This one actually didn't pull you out. I don't think, right? No, it didn't pull you out here. And it's telling you to add again on June 24th. If you have no idea what I'm talking about with this fractal stuff, there's tons of videos on my channel about it, but it's also telling you to buy today. It's telling you there was a fractal on the 30th that we broke above today. Still very bullish, very bullish. Palantir. Let's go to Hood first, because Hood's another example. Like a lot of people, including myself, when things are breaking out, they like don't know what to do. And the fractals are a good equalizer for that. Now you can always, of course, just DCA. But this is a good example for BTC coming up. If we break out, which I think we will, where did Hood tell you, where did the fractals tell you to rebuy? It told you to rebuy June 18th. It told you to rebuy June 30th. And we have not tripped a stop loss fractal on that one yet. We have not hit the TA or the fib target yet on the range. Once you play this out enough real time, it'll just be automatic. You'll say, okay, you know, like it'll take 3 seconds for you to realize this is the stop loss. This is the stop limit effectively for a move higher. Palantir. Unlike Hood, has not really continued. Kind of messy. So this was the range. Tried to break out. Has not hit the range yet, so it's got that on its side. So you breach a fractal here, so it tells you to buy there. I wouldn't, anything in a breakout loading area, I wouldn't apply a trailing stop loss to that, personally. So like BTC is a great example. I wouldn't use the fractals here until this breaks out. So I would just say, you know, my stop loss is whatever, 95 or something stupid, right? Like just give it some time, and that's how you have to treat these breakout areas, because you're going to get some noise pre-breakout. So let's just say you wanted to add, and you're looking to add. You can add there, you can add here. Did not get an ad there, have not got an ad here, but you did get a stop loss on this the other day. So I don't know. To me, at this point, I would just throw it in the too hard pile and forget about it personally. You're either trading this not on technicals, or it's just an investment, like a long-term thing. I just don't think, I don't think it's clean here on the technicals. That's the issue. You could say, well, the cloud says it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because it didn't. Hood is the golden child example of something where it broke out, it reconsolidated, kept going. It's still at infinity, hasn't hit its target yet, right? This is obviously what you want to always hope to get, is this, and not Palantir, where it just kind of doesn't do anything. Yeah, Grab looks really good. Toast looks really good. What was the other one? Cart is another one. Yeah, Grab has this huge inverted head and shoulders to it, doesn't it? But again, the issue for me is, like, okay, do I buy this or do I buy BTC or do I buy ETH, right? Like if we put this against BTC. This is against BTC. Doesn't exactly look bullish against BTC, but nothing really does, and that's the point, you know? Maybe you just ignore this other stuff, but you're not wrong. It looks good. Cart. This is Instacart. Above the cloud, bullish breakout. I hope this is either a failed diamond or not a diamond, but you know, looks good. Looks good. Oh, IOTX. This one. Oh no, you just ruined your beautiful list, Tickle. This one looks like. This one looks horrific, bro. You were almost 100%. This one's not for me. You lost me at IOTX. You just fell on the cloud. All right, what else we got before we get out of here? Tokenized impact on stocks. I think it's too early to say if that's going to really matter. I think it's good for people outside the US who don't have access to this stuff to get access. So I'm all for it. But is it going to really move the needle on anything? I don't know. So Tuesday I was talking about Apple. Again, this is like nothing to do with the businesses, which is hard for people to understand. This has everything to do with relative value. If you look at Apple versus the rest of the Mag 7, Microsoft, Meta, Netflix, right? Just on a relative value basis, Apple's been doing nothing. It's been negative bigly. Eventually, it's going to get pulled up for whatever reason. So that's, I think, what's happening here. It looks good. Is it going to outperform NVIDIA? Is the question, right? Like, I don't know. It might. It might. But you can do this pair trade and you can look to see. Maybe little topping out there against Apple. I don't know. I can't bring myself to buy either of them personally. I'd rather just trade crypto, but I don't know. Looking at the wrong IOTX. How many IOTXs are there, bro? It's got to be the one. Maybe it's that one. I don't know. But yeah, you know, you've redeemed yourself if it's this one, because yes, it looks like it's trying, right? It's trying. Do you hold stuff in long investment or you just trade? So most of the trades I talk about, I'm in and out in a month is usually my average hold time. That's just what it happens to be. It's not like something what I'm aiming for. There are a few things like Rivian Figs. I'm just holding these because I'm fairly confident that they're eventually going to break out. And that's it. Hood was a great example because we were talking about Hood at 11. Okay. We were talking about it way back here. I can't remember when I actually sold, but I tried a long on Hood 2 or 3 times, and it wasn't until the last time when it eventually played out. But that's why I like these charts that have been beaten down and have done nothing for a long time. You have to give those time to play out, right? Now, I'm not holding from 12 now, just to be clear. I sold, where did I sell? I'd have to go back and look. It was probably somewhere at like 25 or whatever. So the issue isn't like, for me, it's not selling too early. It's just not sticking to the plan and watching the technicals. That was an entry. That was an entry. I don't think I played those, right? So Metaplanet's another example. I tend to take a trade on something and then forget about it. So that's my own issue. All right, what else we got? Before we get out of here, I'm baking chat. DCR. Do people even know what DCR is? Oh man. Oh man. I mean, I guess. It's like asking me about Tezos. Sure. I just feel like you're better off trading literally anything else. Anything else. This is the real chart. This is the real chart. That's the chart you need to trade. You need to, anytime you buy an altcoin, you need to put this in your head or put it on your fridge or your wall or your ceiling or your desk or your background of your screen. This is your brain on altcoins relative to Bitcoin, you know. Like, yeah, this could be the bottom. You could have said that. You could have said that at any point. You could have said maybe there, maybe here, maybe here, maybe here. Nope, lower. Maybe here. Okay, yeah, right. Like, I don't know. It's just not for me. If I had a small account, I would trade high conviction, long-term ideas. I would not. I think people tend to do the opposite, where they're trading all these ideas on leverage and trying to like hope that one hits the lottery or something. I would just pick 5 maximum ideas that you like and just stick with it. Game AI would not be one of them, but we can take a look. Not enough data to really say anything, but you know, I give you crap. You come on here, I ask for people to tell me what to look at, then I give you crap. But you're not wrong. It's above the cloud. So, look, I can't knock it. It looks better than most of the stuff people ask me about. Even against BTC. Boom. Look, he showed me, chat. He showed me. He or she. They showed me. Game AI, it's the next Bitcoin. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Say BTC. Yeah. It's kind of got a little Adam and Eve to it, right? It's not too happy to be here against BTC. That's the only issue. But you're not wrong. It is above the cloud for the first time in a long time. Got a higher time frame. Little edge-to-edge situation. Little IHS situation. Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag, right? I don't hate it. Again, like if you're bullish alts, like now's the time. Get out there, take some chances, and get messy, as Miss Frizzle would say. Total 2 looks good. All right, I think that's all I got in me. One more. Actually, 2 more, because someone asked me about Weeble. Jasmine. Now this one I can confidently say is in no man's land. Nothing. It's no game AI. Yada. It's no game AI. This chart better be amazing. Ouster. Trying to break out. I don't know what this is, not that it matters, but I would want somewhere up there in the 50s, 100 max. This looks like just about every post-COVID crash chart. Roblox is the first thing that comes to mind. Exact same pattern. So, yeah. Weeble. Then we'll get out of here. Weeble, bull. What a ticker. That's all we got. I guess so. I don't know. I guess. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Are you Ichimoku? Yes. There's tons of videos on my channel talking about what I like as far as setups are concerned. The TLDR is the first time it's above the cloud is what I like. On the daily specifically, Samara is a good example of that. Game AI is a good example of that. I like it above the cloud. Or I like it in the cloud for the first time. So we go BTC. BTC weekly. Edge-to-edge chart would be another example. If I can find the arrow somewhere. Doesn't matter. This stuff. That's what I like. Those are my two major ideas, and you can use that for anything. That's all I got. Be kind, rewind for Madge. Thanks for watching. Here, there, out there, everywhere. On the recording, on the live stream. I will talk to everybody for Setup Sunday. Have a good weekend. Have a good holiday.